హలో స్క్రీన్ షేర్ అవుతుందా? స్క్రీన్ షేర్ అవుతుందమ్మా.
Yes, ma'am.
ఓకే. Good morning, students. Today our topic is Maris and Williamson's managerial theories of the firm. Maris and Williamson's introduced the managerial theories of the firm. That is, in their theories they explain about how the company makes profit by the help of a managerial efficiency. By the help of a managerial efficiency. So, in Maris and Williamson's theories of the firm, first theory is Maris managerial theory of the firm. This is introduced by R. Maris. The R. Maris has put forward an important theory of the firm, according to which managers do not maximize profits. Managers do not maximize profits, but instead of according, they seek to maximize the balanced rate of growth of the firm. That is, instead of according, they seek to maximize the balanced rate of growth of the firm. It means maximization of the rate of growth of the demand for the product capital supply. That means managerial theory, Maris managerial theory tells about that is the rate of growth other organization goal is equal to, that is the demand of the product, and is equal to product capital supply. So this theory is explained by Maris by the help of the equation G is equal to GD is equal to GC. G as a goal maximize, GD is equal demand, GC is equal to capital supply. So that is by the help of Maris theories he tells about that is a goal as maximize is equal to demand and it is equal to capital supply. For this, the manager faces two constraints, that is for maximize the goals and the demand and the capital supply. That is, the manager faces two types of the constraints. The first one is a managerial constraints and second one is financial constraint. First of all, what is managerial constraints? The managerial constraints refers to strength of managerial team and their skills. That is, a managerial constraints refers to strength of managerial team and their skills. What is the strength of managerial team and how the managerial team is helpful for achieving the organizational goals? That is about the cooperation of the team to the manager, how the organization gains profit. So Maris adopted Penrose's thesis of existence of a definite limit on the rate of efficient managerial expansion. On the rate of efficient managerial expansion. The decision making and planning of operation of the firm are the decision making and planning of operation of the firm are the by the result of teamwork requiring the cooperation of all managers. That is in general the decision making of an organization or planning of operation of the firm is mainly it depends upon the teamwork of the employees and the manager and the cooperation between the team and the manager. Coordination and cooperation require experience. For this coordination and cooperation require experience. New manager requires team before he is fully ready to join the teamwork. If the manager is newly entering into the organization, that is the new manager requires a team before he is fully ready to join the teamwork. Thus, although the manager's ceiling is receding gradually, the process cannot speed up. The process cannot speed up. So that is in the Maris theories. That is, he tells that is the coordination and cooperation of the team is very helpful for decision making and planning of operation. And for this coordination and cooperation, that is require experience. That means if the team which is helpful to the manager, if the team is the experienced team, so automatically it is very organization, but the team is experienced team. So automatically that is the, it is very helpful to the manager. The see helpful to the manager, that is to join in the work. That means the coordination and cooperation of a team is depending upon the experience of a team. Research and development also sets a limit to the rate of growth of the firm. Research and development also set a limit to the rate of growth of the firm. This department is the source of new ideas and new products. That is the research and development department. It is the main source for introducing a innovative product to the market and for generating the new ideas in the product. By the help of these new ideas and new products, it increases the sales of the product and maximize the profit. In research and development department, the teamwork also necessary. That is in research and if you take as a research and development department as one of the example, for research and development department also the teamwork also necessary, but it cannot expand it quickly. Simply by hiring new scientists and designers, they require time. For research and development department, that is it also requires a team work, but it cannot expand it quickly. If the employees in the research and development department are experienced persons, so automatically the work speed up. Speed up. Otherwise, it requires more and more time in a research and development department. For simply by hiring new scientists and designers, they require time. If the scientists are the designers who are experienced, are the old employees in the organization, so automatically they speed up the work and they do not require time. So this is the difference between between new scientist and experienced scientist, or what the importance of experienced person in the organization. That means if the team are experienced, so automatically that is the work in the organization is speed up. Otherwise, that is the work in the organization, that is it requires time. So that is by this concept the marriage clearly tells about, that is if the manager is new but the team, that is the organization, the manager wants a experienced team. That is a manager is new to the organization, but the manager needs a experienced time, because the manager is a new, but the experienced team is very useful to the manager for the cooperation and coordination, because the experienced team gives full cooperation and coordination to the manager for completing the work. If you take as a research and development department as one of the example, so in this research and development department also, that is it require a experienced scientist and a designers. If the scientist are a designer is experienced, so automatically the work speed up. Otherwise, that is it requires more and more time. The managerial constraint sets limit both to the rate of growth of demand and rate of growth of capital supply. The managerial constraint sets limits both to the rate of growth of demand and the rate of growth of capital supply. Second one is the financial constraints. So that is the first one in the managerial constraints, that it is clear, that is the organization is mainly depending upon the manager's strength of a managerial team and their skills. And second one is a financial constraints. If you take as a financial constraints, the first one constraints is job security constraints. In financial constraints, the first one is job security constraints. The desire of manager for security is reflected in their preference for service constraints. The desire of manager for security is reflected in their preference for service constraints, generous pension schemes, and their dislikes for policies which endanger their position. Their dislikes for policies which endanger their position by increasing the risk of their dismissal by owners. So that is the first one. Financial constraint is, that is the manager requires job security. So that is called as a job security constraints. The desire of manager for security is reflected in their preference for service constraints. That means the manager the generous pension schemes and their dislikes for policies which endanger their position by increasing the risk of their dismissal by owners. That is, each and every manager's main desire is job security. That is, he need job security. Job security means that is to provide security in the job, and as well as that is it provide pension. It provide a pension in future after his retirement. So this type of the desire, these are the desires of a manager. And the manager dislike the policies. What type of the policies that the manager dislike? That is the policy which are risk to him, which are risk to him, and they make risk as to dismiss from the job. So that type of the risk are not interested by the manager, or the manager dislike the policies which endanger their position by increasing the risk of their dismissal by owner. The risk of dismissal is largely avoided by first one, non-involvement with risky investment. First type of risk, that is the manager, that is the first type of the risk that the manager faces are avoided by the manager are first one, non-involvement with risky investments. The manager choose projects which guarantee steady performance rather than risky ventures, which may be highly profitable if successful but will endanger the manager position if they fail. That is one of the risk, that is the manager avoided. The first type of the risk is non-involvement with risky investment. So risky investments, that is some type of the projects, some type of the projects which are very risky. That means if they success, so it gives more profit to the organization, but there is a chance that is for failing of the project. So if the project fails, so automatically manager position is in risk. That is each and every organization owners main goal is to maximize the profit. And if the organization is succeed, and at the same time if the organization give more and more profit, so automatically the owner of the organization thinks that is the manager's efficiency. At the same time, if the organization is in losses or in risk, so first of all, the person who take this risk is a manager, because the organization thinks that is the organization failure is depending upon the manager's inefficiency. Inefficiency. So that is the first type of the risk which is avoided by the manager is a non in that is a in risky investment. So for this reasons, that is a manager do not like, that is to invest the amount in a risky projects, that is a which give risk to his position. Second one is choosing a prudent financial policy. Choosing a prudent financial policy, the latter consists of determining optimal levels of three crucial financial ratios. Optimal levels of three crucial financial ratios are leverage ratio, liquidity ratio, and last one, retention ratio. That is choosing a prudent financial policy. So in this choosing a prudent financial policy, so the three types of crucial financial ratios are first one, leverage or debit ratio, second one, liquidity, and last one, retention ratio. First type of the ratio is the debit ratio. Debit ratio is calculated by the help of the equation, that is value of debits by total assets. That is what is the value of debits by total assets, that is the equation for a debit ratio. The manager do not have excessive borrowing. Manager do not have excessive borrowing because the firm may become insolvent. Insolvent, to be proclaimed bankrupt due to demands for interest, payments and repayment of loans. That is the manager do not have excessive borrowings because the firm may become insolvent. That is the firm may become insolvent because of, that is by not clearing of interest, not payments, and repayment of loans. If this does not done, so automatically that is the company is in insolvent position. Next one, liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is calculated by liquid assets by current assets. Liquid assets by current assets. Less liquidity increase risk of insolvency, bankruptcy. Too high liquidity makes a firm attractive to take over raids because the raiders think that they can utilize excessive liquid assets to promote the operations of their enterprises. So to choose optimal liquidity ratio, neither too high nor dangerously. That is, the liquidity ratio is calculated by liquid assets by liquidity ratio is calculated by liquid assets by So that is the first one, non-involvement with risky investment, choosing a prudent financial policy. The first one is a leverage or debit ratio. So debit ratio is calculated by the help of value of debits by total assets. So in this debit ratio, that is if the manager do not have excess borrowing because of the firm may become, the manager do not have excess, that is he do not like, that is to take excessive borrowing of loans from the banks, because if they do not clear the interest or if they do not pay the amounts, so automatically that is the company goes as a bankruptcy. So for by this reason, that is the manager do not like, that is to borrow excessive money from the banks as a loans. Second type of the ratio is the liquidity ratio. So liquidity ratio is mainly calculated by the help of liquid assets by total by current assets. Liquid assets by current assets. So less, that is the liquidity. Liquidity means that is the cash. Liquidity position of the company means that what is the current cash amount of a company is called as a liquidity position. So in this liquidity ratio, if the company have a less liquidity, that is the cash, the ready cash is not available in the company, and the company containing very less amount as a cash, so automatically the company risk increases because if there is no ready cash in the company's account, so automatically it is unable to pay the different type of the loans and the interest. So automatically the company's the main risk is bankruptcy. And if, and at the same situation, if the company is high liquidity, that means the company containing current cash, that is the company's account has a more and more cash, automatically it is also risk. So what is the risk means, if the liquidity position of a company attractive to a firm attractive take over rates, because the raiders think that is they can utilize this excessive liquid assets to promote the operation of their enterprises. So to choose the optimal liquidity, that is if the liquidity, that means the cash in the company is very high, so automatically the company take a risk, that is to invest the amount in other operations. So sometimes it gives more and more risk to the organization. So that is the liquidity. If you observe the liquidity position of a company and what is the liquidity ratio of the company is, it is not too high or not too less. That is, if it is high liquidity, it is dangerous to the company, that is by investing the amount in different projects. In some situations it gives profits, and in some situations it is a loss to the company. And at the same situation, if the company is in less liquidity, so if the company has very less cash in their account, so automatically by the help of a less liquidity, the company is unable to pay different type of the bank loans and as well as the salaries to the employees in time. So that is the second one is liquidity ratio. So in this liquidity ratio, so to choose the optimal liquidity ratio, neither too high nor dangerously. Next type of the ratio is retention ratio. Retained profits by total profit. That is, retained ratio is calculated by retained profits by total profits. Retained profits are the most important source of finance for growth of capital. Retained profits are the most important source of finance for growth of capital. The three types of financial ratios are combined together into single parameters. Financial ratios are combined together into single parameter, which is called financial security constraints. These are called as a financial security constraints. They determine risk attitude of top management depends on subjective decision of managers. They determine risk attitude of top management depends on subjective decision of manager. That is the three types of the financial constraints are: first one, debit ratio, liquidity ratio, and retention ratio. If these three financial ratios are combined together into a single parameter, which is called as a financial security constraints. So these three ratios determine what is the risk attitude of a top management depend upon subjective decision of manager. That means what is the liquidity position of a company, what is the retention position of a company, and as well as what is the debit position of a company. 2 points should be stressed in financial constraints. The main 2 points are: if you take as A1 as a liquidity ratio, A2 leverage ratio, A3 as a retention ratio. That is, we calculate liquidity ratio as a liquidity by total current assets, and leverage ratio as a debit by total assets, and retention ratio as a retention by total assets. That is the retention by total assets or total profits. So these are the three types of the three types of the constraints to a manager. That is, in a financial constraints, A1 as a liquidity ratio, it is calculated by total assets by current assets, and second So that is the A1 is liquidity ratio, A2 leverage ratio, and a last one A3 retention ratio. A is negatively related A1 and positively related to A2 and A3. That is, A is negatively related A1 and positively related to A2 and A3. A1 means liquidity ratio. Liquidity position means that is the company containing the optimal cash in the organization is called as a liquidity position. A is negatively related to A1, negatively related to A1 and positively related to A2 and A3. A2 and A3 are retention position of the company, and the leverage are debit position of a company. And next of all, A increase if either liquidity is reduced. A increase if either liquidity is reduced. Debit ratio increase by increasing external loans or retained profit increase. Debit ratio increase by increasing external loans. So debit means that is to borrowing the amount as a source of loans. Debit ratio increase by increasing external loans or retained profits increased. A decline if liquidity increases or reduced, external finance or reduced, retained profits or combination of three. A will be decline if liquidity increases, liquidity position of the company increases, or reduce external finance or reduce retained profits or combination of three. Negative relationship between job security and financial constraints. There is a negative relationship between job security and financial constraints. If A increase, the position of the firm becomes more vulnerable to bankruptcy or takeover raids. If A increases, the position of the firm becomes more vulnerable to bankruptcy and takeover raids. And the job security of manager reduces. Thus, high value of A is manager risk taker, low value of A is manager risk avoider. That is, the A value is lower, it is a manager risk avoider, and if A value is high, so automatically it is a manager risk taker. The financial constraints set a limit to the rate of growth of capital supply. So what is the rate of growth of capital supply with the help of financial constraints is some variables are managers' utility functions such as salary, status and power. Salary, status and power are strongly correlated with the rate of growth of demand for the product. So higher the salary and power of manager, faster the rate of growth of the firm. For this, job security is also necessary. That is, if the salary is high and power of the manager faster, the rate of growth, that is power of manager faster the rate of the growth of the firm. For this, job security is necessary. Utility function of manager is equal to rate of growth of demand, comma, job security. That is, utility function of manager is taken as a and it is equal to function of growth of demand and job security. Utility function of owner depends on growth of capital supply, which positively correlated with the growth of profits. That is, the owner's utility function depends on growth of capital supply, which positively correlated with the growth of profits. That is, utility function of owner UO is equal to function of growth of capital supply. And if you observe, the utility function of manager is equal to F of growth of demand and job security. That is, the manager function depends on growth of demand and job security, and the owner functions depends on, that is, a capital supply. That means the growth of profits. There is a saturation level for job security. After this saturation level, extra job security of manager utility is 0. After this saturation level, extra job security of manager utility is 0. Below this level, managerial utility from extra job security is infinite. That is, managerial utility is equal to growth of demand and capital supply, or that is a growth of demand and job security. S shows job security variable. It acts as a constraint for utility maximization of manager. It has a constraint for utility maximization of manager. Manager maximize their utility. Manager maximize their utility, that is growth of demand for output subject to this job security constraint. So that is overall the manager growth or maximizing of the growth of the manager is mainly depending upon the growth of demand and job security constraints. The difference between goal of owner and manager is not so wide. The difference between goal of owner and the manager is not wide, because most of variable bin both function are strongly correlated with a single variable, that is the size of the firm. That is size of the firm. There are various other measures of size of capital, output, revenue, market share, and there is no consensus about which of the measure is best. That is, for measuring the size of the firm, or there is a various other measures of size of capital, output, revenue, market share, and there is no consensus about which of the measure is best. That is the if you observe, the difference between goal of owner and manager is not so wide, because most of variable bin both function are strongly correlated with a single variable, that is size of the firm. And there are various other measures of size of capital, output, revenue, market share, and these are all the different measures for the different measures of a main goal of owner and a manager. The manager do not maximize the absolute size of the firm, but the rate of growth is equal to change of size of the firm. The manager do not maximize the absolute size of the firm, but the rate of growth is equal to change of size of the firm. The rate and size are not equivalent from manager utility point of not equivalent. The rate and size are not equivalent from manager utility point of view. The manager do not maximize the absolute size of the firm, but the rate of growth is equal to change of size of the firm. The rate of growth is equal to change of size of the firm. The rate and size are not equivalent from manager utility point of view. Manager utility point of view. Between firms, some managers move from small firm to large firm. If you they analyze this by the help of the firms, that is, if you observe, some managers moves from small firms to larger firms. By them, some managers are moving from small firms to larger firms, and somebody moves from for high salary and power. But in real world, the manager mobility is very less. That is the employees mobility is observed. If you analyze the employees mobility, that is a frequent employees mobilities occur in the organization, or if you observe the employees mobility, it is very high when comparing to manager mobility. The manager mobility is very less. So that is, if you observe the mainly the managers moves from small firms to larger firms, and somebody moves from for high salaries, and somebody moves from one organization to another organization only for power. That is, but in real, if you observe, the manager mobility is very less or low. Hence, manager aim is maximization of rate of growth rather than absolute size of the firm. Maximization of rate of growth rather than absolute size of the firm. In equilibrium, these growth rates are equal. These growth rates are equal. UO is equal to, that is a F of GC. GC and profits are positively correlated. That is a GC and profit. So that is the growth of capital supply and profits are positively related. And if you observe the utility, that is a utility of owner. Utility of owner is equal to function of growth of capital supply, and growth of capital supply and profits are positively related. And utility of manager is equal to function of growth of demand. That is a growth of demand and job security. Rate of growth of demand for product and job security. Equilibrium of the firm. What is the equilibrium of the firm? That is, if you observe, that is mainly the manager and financial constraints. That is the mainly the financial and the managerial constraints are the mainly, that is the manager is mainly depends upon, that is he want, that is he avoid some type of risk which are very risk to his job and endanger his job. That is, in some situations, that is occur the dismiss of a manager. And it is financial constraints are, that is mostly the manager needs job security. And the financial constraints are, it is mainly depending upon three types of ratios: liquidity ratio, retention ratio, and last one is a debit or leverage ratio. The overall, that is, if you observe the manager and the owner, the difference between manager and owner are not so wide. That is the mainly they are concentrated on the growth of the firm. So that is the utility function of manager is depends upon function of growth of demand and job security, and the utility function of owner is depending upon the function of growth of capital supply, that means the profit. There is a saturation level for job security. After this saturation level, extra job security of marginal utility is zero. Marginal utility is zero. Below this level, marginal utility from extra job security is infinite. That is, utility of manager is equal to growth of demand and job security. It acts as a constraint for utility maximization of manager. Manager maximize their utility, that is growth of demand for output, subject to this job security constraints. The difference between goal of owner and manager is not wide because most of variable bin both function are strongly correlated with a single variable, that is size of the firm. Between firms, that is the managers generally move from one organization to another organization. That is the first reason is that is the salary, that is moves from low salary to higher salary. And second one is they need power. They need power. If you observe the equilibrium position of a company, equilibrium of the firm, managers aim at a maximization of their owner utility, which is a function of growth of demand for the product. The owners or shareholders aim is maximization of their own utility by function of rate of growth of capital supply. That is the growth of demand is equal to growth of capital supply, that is equal to G maximum is equilibrium. G maximum is equilibrium. So this is the equilibrium of a firm. That is in the next class we are going to discuss about what is the equilibrium of a firm.